Good afternoon, not a gang. Let's talk about Brandon Aiyuk today. We see this tweet floating around. I kind of want to talk about this. I was on Instagram just a few minutes ago, and we were talking about it a little bit. So we'll bring it over here. We'll bring the topic up here. We'll talk about Brandon Aiyuk. 50-year options due May 1st. My man, how's everybody going? How's everybody doing? We got my man 49ers Rod says I'm on the Indian timing. I really am. It was a long day today. There's a rainstorm out here, so I'm a little later than I usually am. Anyways, let me drop a little intro before we get going. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? How are we feeling? Look at this. Look at this. Brandon Aiyuk. He's tweeting today. He's tweeting. I don't ever see a lot of tweets from. I never seen Brandon Aiyuk really tweeting much, but he tweeted this out today. Y'all probably saw this already. But what's up, everybody? How's it going? My man Niners think this was good. Hey, Peter Parker, Marcus. We got a lot of people in the house. Make sure you hit that like button. Debbie, Nia, she says can't wait for the Raj and Breezy show. I can't wait either. We got a big show coming. Starting tomorrow. We got the introductory episode tomorrow. I'm hyped up, man. I'm really pumped up to get that rolling. But before we get into all that tomorrow, let's talk about Brandon Aiyuk because there's a lot of speculation going on over the last couple weeks. I remember a few weeks ago, people were saying they're going to trade him to the Giants, and it's just so much rumors. People got nothing better to do. And Brandon Aiyuk tweets this out today: 1K is the fourth option and a run first offense. I'm as real as it get. A word to little baby and SG. I'm ready to stand on business every time. Year 4. You know what I mean? It's interesting because sometimes you read these tweets and you're like, maybe they're not me. That doesn't mean anything. And then some people look at them and they take them and say, oh, he wants to get paid. And then you kind of have to read between the lines with these tweets. Sometimes they mean something. Sometimes they mean absolutely nothing. Sometimes it's just him hyping himself up, saying, I'm him. I'm that guy. I mean, I think he's basically saying, yeah, I'm him. This is my contract year. I'm ready to get paid, but it could mean more. And the question of the day, sorry about that. And the question of the day is, will the 49ers even consider trading him? There's no way in my mind. Again, he's becoming a franchise receiver. He did have 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Year 3, they traded up to get him, right? They traded up to get him. I think my man Shoulder Lagem said, we traded up to get him. He's an elite wide receiver. Now that he's producing, people want to trade him. No, we draft, develop, and keep players like him. Stop putting this out there. See, and again, that's exactly my takeaway of it. We're not saying that we want to trade. We're not saying that they are. My focus today is to sit here and say, don't trade him. I'm on your boat. I'm saying there's no narrative where the 49ers should be trading him because you're going to see a lot of other people out there that are going to be floating out should the 49ers trade him? Now there's Lamar Jackson rumors, right? If you put 2 and 2 together, there's going to be people that are going to put the Lamar Jackson rumors. They're going to see Brandon Aiyuk with this cryptic tweet, and they're going to start throwing that out there. Trade Brandon Aiyuk. Trade Deebo. I agree with you, Labrum. The 49ers traded up to get him a few years back. They've developed him like they do with every other one of their key players. And to me, there's no way that they should trade him. They're going to develop him, pay him as such, and the 49ers take things slowly when it comes to paying players. You got to remember, they got Nick Bosa is their big-time player this year. He's their guy. He's the guy that they're making sure they put all their chips in, and they're going to extend him first this year. It's Nick Bosa's turn. If you watch the 49ers over the year, they have every guy, every year, they take one big core player and they extend it. You had George Kittle. You had Fred Warner. You had Deebo Samuel. And now you're going to have Nick Bosa. And if you think about it, Arik Armstead a couple years back, they gave him his money. Now he's the longest tenured Niner. So they take care of their guys that they really feel that are important to this team in many facets, of the game. They're pillars, if you will, right? They're big key pillars. And I think Brandon Aiyuk is next pillar on that list when you look at this team, right? You have, again, Nick Bosa is the guy that's going to get paid this offseason. I'm pretty sure he'll get paid by July, right before training camp. But here's the thing. Now Brandon Aiyuk's the next big receiver. And you got to realize, if Brandon Aiyuk was on any other team, he'd be wide receiver 1. He'd be a star in this league. His route running is amazing. But you got to think about it too, is would he have been that way if he didn't have Kyle Shanahan to push him? So I know a lot of people were upset about the way Kyle Shanahan pushed him, last year or the year before, had him in the doghouse and stuff. But even Brandon Aiyuk, I remember he spoke on that KMBR last year, and he says no coach ever told him the stuff that Kyle said. They always, hyped him up. They always said he was the best. He's so great. But nobody told him he wasn't good enough. Nobody told him, well, you're not that good. You need to do better. Kyle Shanahan challenged Aiyuk. He made him better. He pushes himself. He's got that dog mentality. He's got the route running now. He's a blocker. He's a full wide receiver. His route tree is impeccable. When you compare him to other players on this team, he's the full package at wide receiver. And he made a good point, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver on a running team. To me, that's incredible, to be a 1,000-yard receiver on a running team. You got a run-heavy team. You got Christian McCaffrey. You got Deebo. You got Kittle, the yak guy, and Brandon Aiyuk is a good yak receiver. He is a good player after the catch. But if you really watch him, he's more than a yak guy, more than what Deebo does, the slant and go kind of stuff. He can run a full route tree. He can be a deep threat. They never really have had a quarterback to utilize that strength, right, over the last couple of years. So, again, you kind of think about, man, if he was on another team, what are the stats would be? And I think that's what Brandon Aiyuk would have to utilize when he is going to negotiate his contract. We don't know if he's negotiating. We don't know if he's asked for an extension. I'm sure that they've always, had that. I know they always have these talks with the team and the players, but we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. But there's been a lot of speculation over the last couple of weeks. Remember a few weeks ago, it was so dry in the offseason. I think Aiyuk liked edit of him in a Giants uniform, and everybody's freaking out. Are they going to trade Brandon Aiyuk? Are they going to trade Brandon? Oh, my God, they're trading him to the Giants. Because that's how dry the news was. 49ers are going to trade him, but I'm sure they've had talks about it. And the way that these talks typically work in the NFL is you have a talk with the player, you offer him something, it's probably not what he likes, and he says, I want more. And then the agent comes in and says, look, my agent or my client needs X amount of dollars. And then the player's going to go out there, believe in himself, hype himself up, and go ball out. And if Brandon Aiyuk puts out a phenomenal year again this year, 1,200 yards, and he does better than what he did last year, his price tag goes up. So if I'm the 49ers, you would try to get him for cheaper, right? You would try to get him and lock him in at a cheaper price, because if you don't lock him in at a cheaper price next year or whenever you go into extend him, that price tag is going to go up and it's going to be tough for you. So, there's going to be people that say if they can't pay him now and they won't pay him later, you might as well trade him. I mean, I don't think they will. I don't think they should. Again, the 49ers, like you guys said, they traded up to get him. It would be silly. He is definitely a franchise-type wide receiver. The guy's amazing. He's only gotten better in his 3 years. So, and I think he'll only be better. I think VZ makes a good point. He says Fred Warner pushed him too. You're right. In training camp this offseason, if you remember the stories, I was there. They had a fight. The fight broke out between Fred and Aiyuk. They were getting under each other's skin, man. He got in a fight with Jimmy Ward and Fred Warner, and there was a lot of beef. And they were just pushing him. Iron sharpens iron. They were pushing him to be a player, to be his best version of himself. And it worked out, because he came into camp every single day and he was dogging players. Him and Mooney Ward were absolutely tearing up that camp, man. It was crazy because it was like Mooney Ward was clapping everybody. You couldn't get a catch on him. He was making big plays. And it was like, oh, this is the big signing of the offseason. He looks great. And then Aiyuk was coming out there and he was just like catching everything thrown his way. And I remember there was one, it was like Hoodie Aiyuk. I remember saying, oh, it's Hoodie Aiyuk, kind of like the Hoodie Mellow. When you play in the hoodie, you got this like vibe. He came out. Aiyuk just looked like he had that dog in him, had the hoodie on, and he was catching. He was just big catch. And I was like, oh man, Aiyuk is so locked in. And he got a catch on Mooney Ward. I remember that. He had a big time catch on Mooney. And everybody was like, okay. Because Mooney was like the hot shot of training camp. And then after that, you had Fred Warner talking this and that. And they really pushed each other. And that's the thing, man. Aiyuk, he is such a tough dude. He's such a dog. And he's quiet. He carries himself so quietly. And he's kind of transcended himself up this roster amazingly over the years. Because you didn't hear much. He was kind of quiet. And then I remember there was a mic'd up where he was kind of leading the young bucks, the young receivers. He was kind of like helping them along the way, teaching them and leading them. I feel like Brandon Aiyuk is definitely turning into a young leader of this team. I feel like he'll be a captain soon enough. So, wild of a title I put. All right, I'll change the title name. I got to get some viewers in here. Y'all see? Got a little bit of a viewer rate in here. But the point is, there's going to be a lot of people out there now that are going to speculate it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not, because this is how media works. Brandon Aiyuk tweets that. Now people are going to speculate. And there was a couple rumors last week, and his fifth-year option's due on May 1st, which I'm sure they'll pick up. But you're going to hear a lot of speculation over the next couple weeks. So I'm just letting you know. They're going to be speculating. When you see that, just remember I told you that, you know. My man Beezy says he's conservative but loud on the field. He lets his game do his talking for him. I agree, but I feel like he kind of was more vocal. I remember there was a speech. I forget what game it was, but after one of the games, at the end of it, Brandon Aiyuk, he led the breakdown, and it was like, damn, to hear Brandon Aiyuk talking and the growth he's had has been absolutely amazing, man. So you got to realize if the 49ers keep him, on his fifth-year option, that's about $14 million, so they'll have 2 more years of Brandon Aiyuk. And then after that, he's going to hit the market. So it's all on Aiyuk to see, what he's going to get next year, annually, because he can get upwards to $20 million, really, $15 to $20 million if he has another amazing season. But it all depends on, what production he's going to have. And again, 49ers right now, I'm sure they'll pick up his fifth-year option, which would make it a $14 million year deal after they pick it up. So my man Steve-O says, faithful, just joining in, but the nickname Raj game speaks for himself. You don't trade the silent assassin. Yeah, you don't trade the silent assassin. I think Brandon Aiyuk, the more you think about, him coming out and tweeting today, and I feel like he's ready to have a monster season. Because he is coming into a contract year. Like we said, he's going to be playing most likely this year and then next year on his fifth-year option, which they'll pick up. But that, to me, tells me he's ready to go out there and just show the world, like, hey, I'm that guy. I'm him. I'm that guy. You can just feel like he's ready to go crazy this year. I think if he goes out there and has another monster year, you got to pay him. Like, I feel like you have to extend him 100%. But that's the 49ers. Again, they're going to let you go out there, put the work out there, and if you show them, if you impress them, and you leave them no doubt, then they better pay you. You can't let them not hit the market. You can't let him hit the market. If he comes out and has another monster season, you would lose him at that point, because you got to make sure you lock in your guys. Because Brandon Aiyuk knows how good he is. I think he understands, like, again, he said, I have 1,000 yards on a run-first team. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me. And you got to look at the options that this team has. You have a George Kittle. He's amazing. You have a Deebo Samuel. You have a CMC. Those are some top-notch, talented players. And then you have Brandon Aiyuk, and he got 1,000 yards. And he was so consistent this year. At a stretch during the season, he was like the guy that you knew you could count on. You're going to get 80 yards, 7 catches. It was like almost every week, it was like at least 6 catches, at least 70 yards, touchdown. He was just like putting in so much consistency. And it's not even a passing team. No matter who the quarterback, they're running a lot. So he was still putting up consistent stats on a weekly basis. It just tells you, man, if you threw the ball a lot and he was your guy out there, he'd be putting up at least 1,200 yard seasons, 10 touchdowns. Like, it's crazy how good he is and how much production he was able to put up on a run-first team, man. Brandon Aiyuk, he definitely is a special player. And now you can see why the 49ers traded up for him. And that's why Kyle Shanahan got the most out of him, Yeah, Montana says he dropped Brock's highlight play. I'm sure he regrets that. He did tell him he owes him a touchdown. So, let's see. X-Pro says, I would rather trade Deebo if it came to a point BA getting traded. Deebo is inconsistent of playing games. Do you agree? I mean, the thing with Deebo is he's a special type of player for the 49ers. He's got this, like, special ability that nobody else has. He's a versatile receiver. He's kind of a one-on-one. He's a guy that you can't really you can't recreate what Deebo does, but his gameplay, it is tough. It is physical. Sometimes he breaks down a little bit because of how tough he plays, and he's like a running back, right? A wide receiver playing running back, right? We call him the wide back. So I wouldn't say he's inconsistent. It's just more of he plays a different style of game. You can't really recreate what Deebo does, and it takes a beating on him. But the thing with, again, Aiyuk, in terms of just a pure wide receiver, if you're talking pure wide receiver one, that's Brandon Aiyuk, man. The route tree, the ability to catch on the outside, on the X, and deep passes. He can run pretty much anything. Deebo, his route tree is a little limited. I'm sure he can run certain routes that Aiyuk can, but Aiyuk runs them so much more smoother, so much more crisp. You could just see it, man. Deebo, again, he's utilized so much different. Hey, you give Deebo a screen pass, you give him a little throw in the flats, you give him a slant, he's going to turn it up and take it 50 yards after that, after a 5-yard play. Special. The guy, second year is like no other. They're both great blockers, but Brandon Aiyuk, man, you've seen the highlights. You see just when he gets out there and his separation on a cornerback, it's like, holy crap, how did he just do that? And it's amazing. And again, deep threat. The 49ers don't really have that skill set. They haven't had that skill set to throw it deep. You give him that option, he's going to be eating up like 60-yard bombs. 60-yard bombs, Phenomenal player. Brandon Aiyuk, man, he's really developed into a stud. So, appreciate you, Montana. Appreciate you. Let's talk about this. Terrence says, no way I would trade Deebo to keep BA. Would you guys trade Deebo to keep BA? Like, that's crazy to like. Imagine if it came down to you, would you trade one of them or the other? I wouldn't trade either of them, obviously. But if it came down to it, would you trade Deebo to keep BA? That's a really good question, Terrence. I wouldn't do it, but god dang, do you want to lose BA? Do you want to lose Deebo? Again, I'm confident the 49ers will find a way to keep them both. But god, man, can you imagine if they get to that point? Because a few years ago, I mean, essentially, if you really think about it, they traded Defoe so they could keep Armstead and Jimmy Ward, and then they got BA. They got Kinlaw because they thought they could use that draft pick to replace Defoe. It didn't work out that way. It's tough. The business side of the game is so difficult because you can make one wrong move, and then it changes the complexity of your team. And maybe it's not even a wrong move. Because, again, if you don't trade DeForest Buckner, you may not have actually gotten Brandon Aiyuk. I know we are all upset that, you traded Buckner and you get Kinlaw. We might not have been able to even get Brandon Aiyuk. So it's a tough situation. I wouldn't trade Deebo to keep BA, but I don't want to trade Deebo. It's a tough position, man, because you can sit here and say BA is the better receiver than Deebo, like we like pure receiver, but Deebo is very important to this team. You take him away, I mean, that's a catalyst. Although you have a similar skill set type player with Christian McCaffrey, those two guys are very similar. Christian McCaffrey, they can both catch and run. They can both, run out of the backfield, play as a receiver. It's tough. So I feel like you may not lose, now that you have CMC, you may not lose as much impact if you get rid of Deebo, but you still lose an impact because he sets the tone. He's kind of that tone setter. I mean, there's a time like he took over in that Seattle game. Remember? He got his foot twisted, and it was like, all right, give me the fucking ball, man. He gave him that ball, touchdown, and I mean, that changed the complexity of the game. Last year against Dallas, right? Playoff game, he told Kyle, give me the ball, man. Put the ball in the box. Boom. Money. First touch, he gets the ball, touchdown. He comes on the sideline. I told you, Kyle. Like, that's Deebo. He can take over a game. I'm not saying Brandon Aiyuk can't, but their skills are so much different for this team. The way that Kyle has built his offense, Deebo is so important to this team. You lose Deebo on 49ers offense, it's a big stop. It's a big loss. Because I don't know if Deebo would be what he could be on another team. Because the way Kyle schemes things up, the way he utilizes the motion, it's impressive to me. So, Alvaro says there will not be another Deebo. You're right. Jake says, call me crazy, but I would trade Deebo to keep BA if I had to. Deebo's style of play is harder to sustain. That's a good and again, I don't think there's any wrong answers. I think everybody's had great input on this question. My opinion might be different from yours, and I might be wrong, in your eyes. So again, it's just great. It's a good topic. It's just good to ask, because Jake, again, he says, call me crazy. I would trade him to keep BA because Deebo's style of play is harder to sustain. And that is a true comment because Deebo does get a lot of injuries, unfortunately, because he plays so physical. He plays so hard. He's looking for contact. And when you're looking for contact, you do break down. So, it's hard to justify sometimes when you're like, God, dog, Deebo, like, I love how you play, but then sometimes he takes those hits, right? And you're just like, holy smokes, man. And then he misses a game because of hamstring. But anybody can miss games because of the hamstring. But Deebo does play very physical. And I agree with what Jake says. It is harder to sustain that type of play. Just like Kittle, man. The guys are so physical. 49ers get some of the most physical players. And they beat players. They beat people down because they want to hit. They want to hurt. They want to hurt. They want to hurt you. Now, Day Day says, would you trade BA for OBJ? God, no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No way. And you know me, I've loved OBJ. If y'all remember, if you follow me over the years, OBJ is on the way. That was my thing. We created the OBJ, the debate hype, but God, no. OBJ, he's been in the league for a while. He's past his prime. I still think I love OBJ. I'm not gonna. Let's preface it with that. 2 ACLs. Brandon Aiyuk is entering the prime of his career. Prime of his career. I would not trade BA for OBJ. I would not. God, no. Slatty says Deebo brings the swagger to this team. I agree. Let's change it up here. Carlos, we'll talk about this real quick. We'll come back to BA. He says, have you heard that the 49ers called Big Ben last year? I did. I saw that today. So let's talk about this. Let's pull this up. Let's pull this up. I think I got this on Twitter. So Ben Roethlisberger today. Ben Roethlisberger. That's what he says today. He says the 49ers reached out last year after the Jimmy Garoppolo injury. Obviously, we know Big Ben. He was retired. Steeler legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think he was a good quarterback when he was healthy. And then he got older and injuries came and all that good stuff. But whatever. This is what they said. They said the San Francisco 49ers made a call to former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger during the 2022 season after Jimmy Garoppolo went down with a broken foot. Despite rookie Brock Purdy stepping in and leading the team to a December 4 win over the Miami Dolphins, 49ers understandably opted to look at all their options, including finding out if Roethlisberger might be interested in temporarily pausing his retirement. So it takes you back. Obviously, Jimmy went down. They weren't sure if Brock Purdy is going to be the guy. He ended up being that guy that took them all the way to the NFC Championship game. Magical run. But after that game, I'm sure they called other quarterbacks. I'm sure they did their due diligence. Ben Roethlisberger was one of those guys, reportedly, that they've called. This is according to Ben Roethlisberger. So, I mean, they could have had Roethlisberger on the team, but would he have led them to the NFC Championship? I don't know. You know, he was in the middle of retirement, just retiring. Brock Purdy was on a magical run. That's interesting to think about. Would Ben Roethlisberger have led him to the NFC Championship? I don't know. Now, if he was just a backup and he would have been in that position to play over Josh Johnson, then you're in a better position. It's good. This is a good topic. So when you look at it, you're like, did they really believe in Purdy at the time? Probably not. Again, they drafted him. They weren't sure what they had in him. I'm sure they liked. So obviously after the season and everything, the way it transpired, they were probably like, oh wow, we got something in Purdy. But at the time, you weren't sure. You weren't sure if he was going to be able to deliver the goods and get you that far. So of course you go through all avenues. You know, you got to do your due diligence, put your best team together. And they weren't sure if the rookie, the last pick in the draft, was going to be able to come in and win games for them. You know, obviously he won that game in Miami. Against Miami, that was a crazy game. I remember I was at the game. It was just like so much going on because you're like, holy crap, Jimmy's gone down. He's injured. Brock Purdy came in and they led him to a victory, and it was like, whoa, what the hell? And the Dolphins at the time were really good. They were transcending on the way up. They were on a big winning streak, and then we kind of crushed them. The downfall of the Dolphins kind of came after they lost to us. So let's go with let's see what Roethlisberger said more. This is, again, according to Roethlisberger on KMBR today. He says, last year, there were some truths to the Niners thing. Roethlisberger told Mark Madden on KMBR. They were, I think, reaching out maybe just to gauge my interest. He says, I had a discussion. I don't want to sit here and say I was going or anything like that. They called me to gauge interest. So basically, they were just seeing. They were throwing a hook in the water. They were throwing a hook in the water. Hey, you coming over, kid? You coming over, Ben? Would you want to unretire? Would you come to play the Niners? And it says San Francisco was 8-4 at the time, winners of 5 consecutive games. They appeared to be playoff bound and boasted a defense that was playing much better than earlier in the season. And this is what Ben says. He goes, I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a small part of me that was intrigued, like, oh man, I can still do it and prove to people that I can still play. He says, at the end of the day, I just couldn't see myself in anything other than black and gold. So it came down to him being loyal to the soil, being loyal to the Steelers. He didn't want to switch up on the Steelers. He goes, even though they had a great chance, I think, to win a Super Bowl, it would have been hard for me to go and try to win a Super Bowl anywhere else but here, which would be Pittsburgh. So Ben, they reached out to him. They said, "Come and save our season. Please be our quarterback." He says, "No, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler through and through." That's basically what happened. So that's the story. Ben Roethlisberger sticking to it. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think Big Ben, if he would have came to the 49ers, you think they would have won a Super Bowl? What do you think? I don't know. I think he was washed at that point. He couldn't throw the ball fast. I mean, at that point in his career, he couldn't throw the ball further than Jimmy Garoppolo. But, I mean, that's their offense. 10-yard pass, short play, throw the ball to Deebo. I like what Brock Purdy did. Now we found out what Brock Purdy could do with this offense. So, let's see. My man, 49er Media, says Big Ben is washed. It's funny. I can picture Media sitting there, too. He's sitting there in his dorm room. Nah, fuck that. Big Ben is washed. He's stoned out of his mind. I know Media is probably baked right now. And he's sitting there saying, you know what? Big Ben is washed. I wouldn't want him on the Niners. I like what Brock Purdy did. But, I mean, obviously, if you had the chance. So, you got. It's so hard to sit there and think, would Ben Roethlisberger have gotten hurt? Would, Brock Purdy have been in that position? Would he have been the star? It's just so many tangibles. I mean, I wouldn't have hated it if Big Ben was on this team. Obviously, he's better than Josh Johnson. I think at that point, you got to use that argument and say, yeah, of course, Ben's better than Josh Johnson. But if you're getting Big Ben and you're the 49ers, you're not going to put him in there to be backup. You're not putting him in there to be QB2. You're making him be QB1. So then you have to ask yourself the question, would Big Ben have got us to the NFC Championship like Brock Purdy did? Brock Purdy went on a massive run and a magical run. Like he did stuff that we've never seen quarterback do in a long time for the 49ers. So it's a tough question to answer. I think Big Ben wouldn't have taken us to the NFC Championship. As much as I love this team, I don't think he would have done it. Coming off of retirement, I feel like media's right. He's washed, right? Big Ben's not mobile. He's a statue. Purdy was mobile. But I don't know. Now, had Big Ben been a backup quarterback and they told him, you're just going to be our backup right now in case of emergency, because we've had a lot of emergencies this year, absolutely take him. Because if they're in the NFC Championship game and Brock Purdy goes down, which he did, you feel a little bit more confident having Big Ben than Josh Johnson, even though, like you guys said, he can't pass more than 10 yards. But you feel so much more confident in Big Ben over Josh Johnson. But I don't know. Bryant makes it. He says, I think he could have done it. So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Would Big Ben been able to take this team to the Super Bowl, or at least the NFC Championship? I don't know. Because Brock Purdy, man, there were some times where you're just like, how did he do that? How did he do that? And he was young. He got that mobility. I mean, he wasn't throwing the ball 30, 40, 50 yards. He wasn't throwing it deep. But there was a few times he took a few shots. Like, he wasn't throwing it deep consistently. There's a few times. I mean, some of the tight window throws he made, and just some of the plays he made were like, okay, Brock Purdy. Like, y'all remember the incomplete pass that he made, the best incomplete pass of all time. That should have been a complete pass. We remember that play. The way he escaped like 20 defenders, came around, wrapped around, still throws it across his body. Like, that play was magical. Big Ben's not doing that. Not now. Not last year. Maybe 10, 12 years ago. He's not doing that last year. So that is true, though, Bryant. Big Ben could stand there and take it. He was the type of guy that he was tough. He was a warrior, man. He did play through some nasty, nagging injuries. I mean, I feel like he was the opposite of what the 49ers had. Like, he could get hurt, and he's still playing. Like, his spleen could be falling out, and he's going to suit up for game day. He was tough. I wish we had quarterbacks like that over the last couple of years because, man, 49ers get so many injuries. Although you got to give Brock Purdy his credit. The guy played with rib injuries, right? He had all the rib injuries. He was tough. He was warrior. He had that dog in him, right? He had the rib injuries. He played through the bruised ribs. Against Seattle. He had the issues. He had those issues. So he's tough. But Big Ben made a living doing that. He played through some nasty shit. So definitely a guy that could stand and take a hit. It's the 49ers, man. Over the last couple years, they haven't been able to stand and take a hit. They take a hit and they get down. So That's where the 49ers have been struggling over the last couple years, staying healthy at the quarterback position. So let's see this question. Sharia says Leonard Floyd and Yannick Ngakoue still out there. Price is going down. I would absolutely love it, man. There's still some edge rushers, some veteran edge rushers that we need to get. The price is going down. I feel like the longer this market, is staying open and nobody's chasing them, they might end up taking a cheap contract for someone to play for a winner. Like at some point, one of these players might say, you know what, I'll go get a prove it deal. Go get me a cheaper contract than I'm initially looking for. Because if you really look around the league, a lot of these players are getting 1-year deals. I remember someone asked me today, they go, why are you getting 1-year deals? Because there's more guaranteed money. You get more upfront money. You go prove it. And then after this year, you go to another team and you build up, short-term contracts with more guaranteed money. Because these longer-term deals that some players sign, it sounds great. You're like, oh my God, they got paid 90 million. They got 100 million. But if you look at those numbers, it's about the guaranteed money. So you look at the guaranteed, that's what you're getting paid. The rest of it, the team's going to throw it in a bonus. They're going to do it as a signing bonus. They're going to throw it in like prorated. They're going to throw money down the end, the back end of the contract. And then year 3, they're saying, you know what, we're going to take this deal. We're going to restructure, throw the money down, give you a signing bonus up front. We're going to cut the cap, and then they're going to maybe cut you because you're a cap casualty. So that's why these players like to take a 1-year deal, guaranteed upfront money. Pay me now. So that to me would be a wise decision for a guy like Yannick, for a guy like Leonard Floyd, for a guy like Frank Clark, Jadeveon Clowney. 1 year, come in, get your money, help this team win a championship, and be a good veteran on this team. I would love it. I agree with you guys. I think that the 49ers definitely need to go in and make a move for a veteran pass rusher, edge rusher. Bryant says, I thought the same thing about Cam Newton or Phillip Rivers. Josh Johnson is all we could get. And going back to this story, because that's a good point, is I don't understand. I don't know if the 49ers made a hard enough pitch or what they were telling these quarterbacks. Because the fact that they were only able to get Josh Johnson back as their QB3, it really makes you wonder. I hate bringing this whole story up because this was so many months ago and, it's all water under the bridge. Like, we can't change anything that happened. But you have to wonder, like, what was going on? Did they really think Jimmy was coming back? And maybe they did leave that roster spot open to say, okay, if anything happens, he's our emergency, but we don't think anything's going to happen to Trey. And were they really hoping for Jimmy to come back? And obviously that didn't materialize, right? So maybe he was the guy they were really banking on, and they didn't want to take another quarterback. They didn't want to piss him off, or, maybe they had high hopes that he was going to come back. That's one. And then obviously Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers, they're retired. Did they even want to come back? Did they even want to go through the grind? Did they want to get back mentally? Because when you retire, you check out. You're not training. You're not going through the rigors of an NFL season. Like, you might not even be in shape to do it. So, and they're so busy with their family. So you're looking into quarterbacks, reportedly of Big Ben and Phillip Rivers. Like, that's last-ditch effort. Like, do they even want to be there? Do they even want to play anymore? So then, okay, you look at the other lot of the quarterbacks. You have guys like Josh Johnson, right? Josh Johnson. Is that your best option? Could you have looked anywhere? Because there was Cam Newton, Bryant is right. It's Cam Newton. Did you reach out to Cam and say, hey, could you come in and be our backup? Or did you ask these quarterbacks to be the starter? That's the question you have to really wonder, was when they're calling these quarterbacks last year, were they asking them to be the starter, or were they asking them to be the backup to Brock Purdy, who at that point, nobody knew. Let's be honest with ourselves. At that point, nobody knew who the hell Brock Purdy was last year at this time, at that time of the year when he first started. Nobody knew who Brock Purdy was. Nobody did. And we all know who he is now, but last year, we don't know who the hell Brock Purdy was. Were they calling to be QB2 or starter? It's a good question. I don't know. I would love to know. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to know what the hell Kyle and John were thinking. Because there ain't no way in hell you think Josh Johnson's a serviceable backup. It's crazy to me. But hey, anyways, it is what it is. We can't sit here and dwell on it. Things happen. We got to move forward. And now we have Trey Lance coming in this season. He's going to get his opportunity to showcase he's the guy. Sam Darnold going to compete with him, push him. And if Trey Lance goes out there and shows his best foot forward, he should be able to make Sam Darnold look like the backup. And then you got Brock Purdy. Hopefully he comes back healthy. And if Trey Lance looks amazing, he's amazing and everything's great. If he doesn't, then you got Brock Purdy, and you know he could come in and do what he did last year. So, end of the day, I think the 49ers are in a good position at quarterback. But it's always interesting to read these stories. You know, these stories are fun to look at and all the speculation. But at the same time, sometimes they're not fun because you're looking at them and you're like, why are you telling me this? Because sometimes I read these reports because I see, you know, I got these accounts like Dov Kleiman. He messaged me, and then ML Football, like these like reports. They're like, oh, can you quote tweet this to get more traction from San Fran fans? I guess with these people, I got all my DMs. I'm like, can you tweet this for me? Can you quote tweet this for me so we get more traction? And I'm like, dog, do I care that the 49ers look to Ben Roethlisberger last year? What's that going to do for me? They should have got him when they had the opportunity. What does me tweeting the fact that the 49ers passed up on Ben Roethlisberger or didn't get him? Or why are we bringing this up? It's March. We got the draft next month. Why are we even bringing this up that the 49ers looked into Ben Roethlisberger? I don't give a shit. That's what I tell these people. Can you quote tweet this? Can you tweet this for me? I want more traction on my tweet. I'm like, I don't care. Good for them. That's why we bring these stories. And then you'd be so surprised how many people mention, like, DM me, hey, yo, can you tweet this for me? Can you get some traction on this post for me? I'm like, what am I supposed to? Am I a clout farmer for you? No. Crazy. People always just want to use me for clout. Let's see. Day says, would you trade Trey Lance for Lamar Jackson? Yeah, absolutely, I would. I mean, Lamar Jackson's won an MVP. I think he's, you know, obviously, and I'm not even disrespecting Trey Lance. I'm gonna talk about this because you guys are in the comments talk about Trey Lance, and I think he has so much potential. Obviously, there's a reason you drafted him for a number 3 pick. He's still a developmental player. We still haven't seen. He hasn't played football in 3 seasons. It's unfortunate. You know, the first year after his great season at North Dakota State, his COVID year. He didn't get to play. And then he comes to the Niners. They drafted him. They didn't play. They made him be a redshirt, which to me was stupid. And I said it many times that year, play him. Get him the reps. They didn't. And then, of course, they finally named him the starter. And then then people were saying, oh, he doesn't have enough reps. I'm like, that was an easy fix to me. To me, you get Lamar Jackson. He's already established himself. He's a former MVP. He just never has had a team around him like the Niners. Obviously, he's had good tight ends. Mark Andrews is a phenomenal tight end, but he never had really good receivers, you know? So I feel you put Lamar on this team, they win a Super Bowl. I agree with people that have said that. I agree. It's not even a slight to Trey. I think if you trade Trey, it's good for him mentally because he needs to fucking get out there and play. This man just needs the opportunity to show people. Maybe a fresh start somewhere would be good for him. And I'm not even advocating. I'm not sitting here saying trade Trey Lance. I'm answering the question that Day said. He says, would you trade Trey Lance for Lamar Jackson? If I'm answering this question, the answer to that is yes. Because I think Lamar would come in and he can win the Super Bowl. And I think Trey Lance would go somewhere and thrive and shine and be great. That's the simple answer to it. So, yeah, and I agree, JM. Teams would actually respect Lamar's RPO. Because on the Ravens, they don't. They know he's going to run every single play. His RPO is a gimmick. It's like, why are you even running RPO? With 49ers, you got CMC. You got Deebo. You got a lot of good players. You got Kittle. You got to respect RPO. So you can air it out to BA, unlock their potential, and it's not even a slight to Trey. We don't know what you can have. We still got to develop him, and I think he can air it out to BA, and I think Trey Lance can have a phenomenal deep game to BA, and I think him and Trey, Deebo eventually can work into something, but we haven't seen him play a lot of football. Lamar Jackson's a proven commodity, So Slatty says, it doesn't matter what y'all think about Lamar. We can't pay him, so why keep bringing him up? Because it's the off season, and we love we love to instigate. We love to be, crazy. But at the end of the day, Slatty, you're right. Trey Lance is the quarterback, and he's going to get every opportunity to prove that he's the guy and silence the haters. And I'm absolutely all here for it. I'm happy with any of these quarterbacks on the team. I'll be happy with Brock Purdy. I'll be happy with Trey Lance. And I'll fucking be happy with Sam Darnold. I honestly will. So, yeah. See, this is the question. You pay You spend the money on Lamar and gets banged up, then what? It's like every other season. We spend money on Jimmy, he got hurt. We spend money. That's unfortunately the business. These players can get hurt. That's why they want the guaranteed money. I mean, that's a risk for any single one of our quarterbacks. Trey Lance, he got hurt. You traded up, to get him. Traded all the draft picks to get him, and he got hurt. You went and paid Jimmy Garoppolo. At one point, he was the highest paid quarterback. He got hurt, torn ACL. Brock Purdy, we thought he was the guy. Last year, he got hurt. And the last game of the season, he got hurt. So nobody's safe if you're a 49ers quarterback. So you're right. If the 49ers were to ever get Lamar, he has a chance of getting hurt. Anybody does. So after that, you better pray you have a good backup. And that's what the 49ers did this year. So if you think about it, full circle moment here, the 49ers went and got another quarterback just in case these injuries happen. Again, which they might. I pray to God Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt. I pray to God Trey Lance doesn't get hurt. But if they do, now you got Sam Darnold. That's it. So I feel like the 49ers are still in a good space no matter what. No matter who they have at quarterback right now, I think we're in a good spot because they have great players around whoever's at quarterback. They just have to execute. They have to stay healthy, and they have to be able to lead. That's the key. Whoever is the quarterback has to be able to lead. I like I like the potential of Sam Darnold, but can he lead this group? I never felt like he's been a leader of a team, and I think that's the one thing that Darnold I'm not sure about because again, he's the backup. I know he's going to be able to come in. He's got some mobility. He's got some talent. He's never played with a team like this, but if Sam Darnold has to come in emergency, can he lead this team? I don't know. It's a good question. It's something that you got to think about because I never felt like he was a leader in any place he's had. I mean, remember he saw Ghost, right? Mentally, he just never was there as a quarterback. But there was a lot of pressure on him. New York was a tough media market. New York was a tough market, man. Any quarterback goes to New York, that's rough on quarterbacks. So it's a tough place to play. I think 49ers. I think San Francisco. I think San Francisco is a tough place to play. My man, Big Breezy. Let's go. Big Wayne in the building. I don't know. I told them this week, we dropping a new show tomorrow. I don't know if you guys are ready. I don't know if you guys are even ready for Wayne and me. It's going to be crazy content. It's going to be good stuff. My man, Wayne says, New York is a tough spot for any player in any sport. 100%. That East Coast media, man, they'll eat you up, swallow you up. You got to have some tough skin to play out in New York. No matter who you are, no matter what sport, no matter what player, it's going to be crazy, man. I mean, San Francisco is a tough market too, but that New York market is tough. So I feel like that's going to be good for Darnold because he's had to deal with it in New York. San Francisco media is going to be a lot easier now that he's had that media on the media to deal with on the East Coast. So we'll see. The R&B show, Wayne Breezy. You know what? I'm so high. I've been waiting for this all week, man. I can't wait tomorrow. I really can't. R&B, get your popcorn ready. This is going to be the best show. This could be the best show on YouTube. I'm telling you right now, I'm not even going to sit here and be humble. I'm not even going to sit here and I'm going to toot my own horn. I think me and Wayne, we about to be the best show on YouTube. That's it. I'm dropping it right now. I'm saying it right now. We about to be the show. Breezy and Raj. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. Let's do a few more questions before we hop out of here. And then, we'll go live later on Instagram. My boy Breezy. If you guys aren't following Wayne, man, go make sure you go follow my boy Wayne Breezy. Check him out. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of them. TikTok. Every time I open up my TikTok, I see Wayne Breezy. I see Wayne Breezy on TikTok. Every time I open up, I'm like, let me go check TikTok. Boom, Wayne Breezy. I see his little short videos. I'm like, okay, I like what he's doing with the TikTok. So check him out, man. This guy works so hard. I love my boy. It's going to be fun. What game am I going to, Drips? Oh, man. I'm going to be going to a few games. I'm not sure all of them yet. I haven't decided what games I'm going to yet. I will try. I want to be at the Philly game for sure. For sure, want to go to that Philly game. I'm going to need an entourage. I'm going to need a bodyguard. Whatever you need me to get. I'm going to need that, though, out in Philly. I'm going to get my ass beat. Yeah, we're going to talk about draft tomorrow. We're going to talk about everything, man. I'm so excited to talk about draft with Wayne. I had an idea. I haven't even asked him yet. I wanted to do a mock draft with him on the show tomorrow. So maybe we'll get that. Maybe our first show will be a mock draft together. Our first show will be a mock draft because I haven't dropped my mock draft yet. I haven't. I got my draft crush. I honestly have just been slacking. I haven't done my mock draft yet. So maybe we can do that. Maybe we'll do that. It's going to be stuff, man. Yeah, Dallas game. It's going to be fun. We're mock drafting. All right, we got it. We get it. My man Peter Parker says, any games that stand out this year that you want to go to? So many games. I think, to me, the biggest game is that Philly game. I got to go to that. I think the Cincy game for sure would be fun. Jaguars game, honestly, the more I think about it, the Jaguars game looks dope. And actually, I had someone reach out to me, some media company. They want to, like, get me out there, fly me out, and do some, like, content creating for them. So I'm working to that. So maybe I might be at that Jaguars game, but we'll see. That might be in London. That's why I want to pick that game, bro. Like, if that game's in London, can you imagine? Jesus, man. Maurice says, would you trade up for Byron Young? Absolutely. That's my favorite edge rusher out of this draft class, man. That's my guy. Byron Young is a dog, man. And again, I feel like 49ers have to trade up in this draft. I feel like they have to trade up in this draft because I talked about it yesterday when we were talking about the draft and their new players. To me, I feel like 49ers, you got 3 third-round picks. Take 2 of them. Take Kinlaw. Take a 5th round. Take something. Take your picks and trade them. Trade up. Go get a dog like Byron Young if you don't get an edge rusher, a veteran edge rusher. Or go get my boy Cody Mock. Go get a right tackle. Go get a tackle. Or Freeland. I'm cool with Freeland. Go get a go get me a premium tackle. Because I don't want Colton McKivitz to be my right tackle. I'm sorry. I really don't. Now, you know what's going to happen? Colton McKivitz is going to be an all-pro next year, and I'm going to look stupid. But I hope that's why we're doing this. I want Colton McKivitz to use all the bullying as motivation. I want him to come live and hear all the creators saying, I don't believe in Colton McKivitz because I want a dog at right tackle. I'm tired of seeing my right tackle get hit checked. And I see the picture all online. We saw Mike McGlinchey get thrown around. And again, McGlinchey was a great run blocker, but people don't see that. They see the picture of Micah Parsons throwing his ass. I want a dog at right tackle. That's what I need. I want Cody Mock. I want Breland. I want a future star right tackle. I want a franchise tackle. Trade up. You got nothing to lose. You got 11 draft picks. Not 11. You're not going to make 11 players on this team from the draft. I promise you they won't. Go get me Cody Mock, man. That's what I want. Jay Ward, I like him. There's a lot of players I like. I was messing around with the pro draft with the PFF mock draft simulator, and every time I start on that, I'm like I was telling Kruger yesterday, I was like, every time I start on that damn mock draft simulator, I'll like sit there for like I was up late last night. What was I doing? All I was doing was on the PFF draft. It was like midnight, bro. I'm sitting there. I'm like, nope, didn't like that draft. Let me do another one. Nope, didn't like that draft. It's like midnight. I'm supposed to go to work today. I'm like I'm supposed to wake up at like 5:45, 6 a.m. It's like midnight. It's 12:30. It's 1 a.m. I'm like, fuck. All I kept doing was these damn mock drafts. I can't wait for it, man. That shit is so addicting. You're right, Cam. Amari says, watch the Aaron Banks story repeat with McKivitz. I hope so. Honestly, I hope McKivitz is that guy. Because right now, I don't believe in him. But you know who I didn't believe in him last year? You know who I didn't believe last year? I didn't believe in Aaron Banks. I didn't believe in Aaron Banks. He proved me wrong. So let's hope that Colton McKivitz proves me wrong. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's finish up today. Let's finish up the show. We're almost at about an hour. We'll finish up. We got a few more questions here, and I want to get back to Brandon Aiyuk, what we started off with. So getting back to the Brandon Aiyuk topic. So again, obviously, maybe the title was misleading. I don't think the 49ers are going to trade him. I think that he wants to come out and compete for his contract. He's definitely entering the time where he can get his 5th-year option, which is due in May. I'd be surprised if they don't. But again, do you think the 49ers need to pay Brandon Aiyuk right now? Should they pay him right now? Should they extend him right now? Should they extend him right now? Should you be worried? Because if they don't pay him now and he has a monster season, you think they're going to be able to pay him next year? That's the big question to me. That's the big takeaway is if the 49ers don't extend him now for a cheaper deal, then they could probably get maybe next year. If they don't pay him now, next year he's going to ball out and it's going to be hard to pay him. But I still think that they're not even worried about it because there is that fifth-year option. So 49ers technically have 2 more years, really. So my passport, yeah, I got to – actually, it is current. So we'll see. Tank Dell. I like Tank Dell. He's good. Slatty says, give BA $70 million, 3 to 4 deal. 70 mil, 3 years. I think that's a smart move. You lock him in for 70 mil, 3 years. That's a value contract for a guy like BA. If I'm the 49ers, I'm doing it. Peter says if they're thinking of trading him, they're nuts. I don't think they are. I don't think so. Oh, breaking news. The Cardinals signed Dennis Daly to a 2-year contract. It's a left tackle who started 16 games. Good for them. Can it be draft day? I wish it could be. I wish it could be draft day already. I wish the topic would die, says Jedi. I don't want... Yeah, that's it. But this is the thing. I have not even spoke about this topic for weeks. Because like I said earlier, I kept seeing people say, are they going to trade BA? Are they going to trade them to the Giants? And I just laughed at it. But today I was a little interested by his tweet. I was like, okay, BA. Because this tweet got me thinking, man. He's ready to stand on business. My boy's ready to stand on business every time. Year 4, going up. BA's about that business this year. BA's about to get... He's about to go crazy. And you know what the thing about BA? This guy is durable. He's always available. It's knock on wood. He stays that way. This guy's been consistent for the 49ers. An absolute dog, man. I love Brandon Aiyuk. Niner Gang says, are you going to be making any draft posts soon? Yeah, I will. A little later than I normally do. But, free agency, I was so focused on that. So we'll get to the draft content. We'll be doing some mock drafts. I think my mind's finally in draft mode. I've been watching some film. I've been looking at some draft some like I said, some prospects I've been looking through. Last night I was just sitting there watching film on guys, doing the PFF mock draft simulator. I'm finally in the draft mode. I got to get through free agency these days before I get into draft mode. And I think it depends on, what kind of draft picks this year. The last couple of years we haven't had a first round pick, so you're like, okay. When 49ers have a first round pick, there's so much different talent. Like especially when it was a quarterback. I mean, I was so much into the draft hype, and then all the other years, first round pick, it's a little different. So now when the 49ers don't have a first round pick and they have all these later picks, I feel like the free agency period really dictates what they do in the draft, and you got to wait. You got to kind of wait and see because I really don't want to make too many draft predictions until I know what this team looks like heading into the draft. So now we kind of have the picture painted to us. We've seen who they let go. We saw who they brought in, and now we can kind of, to me, wrap our heads around the draft. My boy Wayne says we're drafting a kicker for sure. We better draft a kicker for sure. Our boy Jake Moody. I know Wayne loves Jake Moody. I know I love Jake Moody. To me, you go get Jake Moody. You pay him a couple $100K, to get a kicker in the draft, a rookie contract kicker for a couple of years instead of going overpaying for a veteran that's been in the league, that's washed up. Go get a kicker, make him your franchise kicker, and reward him after a few years when he wins you big games. So that's what you're doing. You go get Jake Moody. He's going to kick 59-yard field goals. He's going to hit touchbacks, and he's going to make you a little bit more aggressive on offense. That's it. That's my pitch for the 49ers, drafting a kicker. My man Agent E says it will be a bad decision to trade Brandon. It'll be an absolute garbage decision to trade Brandon. We are not trading away Brandon Aiyuk. I would be crazy. I would go crazy. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, appreciate you guys. I'm gonna hop off for now, but stay tuned. We always going live. I'll probably be live a little later on Instagram tomorrow. We coming live with Wayne Breezy, the first R&B show. Get ready. It's gonna be hype, man. I can't wait. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your boyfriends, tell your girlfriends, tell your side chick, tell your side dude, tell them all. Tell everybody you know. Tell your teacher, tell your professors, tell your boss, tell your mom, your grandma, tell them all. Tell the guy down the street that you just talked to 5 minutes ago. Tell the clerk at the grocery store. Tell them all, baby. Raj and Wayne Breezy tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific. We going live. I can't wait. I'm hyped up. It's going to be a show for the ages. Stay tuned. Stay locked in. I love you. I can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. Bang, bang. Not a gang.